Good morning and welcome everyone. We are engineers Mays Arabi and Akram Azmi. Our research is the innovative integration of green roofs in hospitals buildings in UAE. Our list of contents: introduction, the case study, environmental problems in the case study, the focus of the study, optimal solution proposed, survey analysis. Let's have a quick introduction.
We are in the beginning of a mass extinction, and all you can talk about is money and fairy tales of eternal economic growth. How dare you!
The main aim of the research is to study a hospital building in UAE. The hospital would be studied and analyzed against its environmental problems that would have a huge impact on the surrounding environments. Environmental problems would be stated along their applicable solutions. Then, one of the stated problems would be further analyzed and its optimal solution would be stated. The case study. Our case study is Latifa Women and Child Hospital located in Dubai. Multiple site visits have been done to the hospital and in-depth discussions with its staff have been made and to understand the negative impacts the hospital cause. A location of the hospital is given. Environmental problems in the case study. Multiple environmental problems have been found in the hospital. They will be explained individually. Excessive water consumption. The major activities which are done in the hospital that consumes the largest amount of water are washing activities, kitchen appliances, sanitation system, cooling equipment, and irrigation. Here is a short video that shows the irrigation area in the hospital. An applicable solution to overcome this problem would include the use of water-saving toilet fixtures, old and inefficient HVAC system. Latifa Hospital was built in 1987. A poorly designed and old HVAC system is used in the hospital, and continuous maintenance is not always done, which might cause a poor air quality and poor ventilation. The absence of smart sensors makes the HVAC system work for longer hours with large load quantities. An applicable solution would include replacing the existing filtration system with an efficient new one and upgrading the HVAC system with smart sensors. Excessive artificial lighting usage. Both daylighting and artificial lighting sources exist in Latifa Hospital. However, the usage of artificial lighting from electric light source overcomes the natural source. The reception area, for example, have sufficient daylighting source. However, they still use unnecessary artificial lighting for the design elements even during the daytime. Some of the patient's rooms design does not allow for sufficient daylighting amount into space, as well as in some reception areas. An applicable solution to overcome this problem would include upgrading the system with smart lighting sensors. Staff accommodation is far from the hospital. Hospital's carbon footprint and air pollution from transportation is a problem that needs to be considered. Staff accommodation in Latifa Hospital is located far from the hospital building itself, which means that the bus needs to travel greater distances to collect staff members and bring them to the hospital. An applicable solution would include building a new staff accommodation near the hospital location, and the use of hybrid vehicles would help reduce the carbon footprint of the hospital.
Thank you, Mais. Hello, everyone. As Mais said, my name is Akram Azmi. Continuing with the issues, adding to my colleague Mais, the next visible issues that was noticed in the hospital is the noise pollution, which is related to the disturbance that the patients feel along the day in the hospital, whether patients or hospital staff. Possible solution would be the use of sound masks and the use of acoustical insulation materials to help improve the indoor quality and reduce the noise pollution. Next problem is related to waste. Of course, it being a hospital, the waste control is important as the hazardous waste is massive and requires a clean and safe method of disposal. Additionally, the hospital had bad plastic waste control. Paper solutions aren't applicable and useful. Therefore, the hospital has huge piles of paper every day being produced. Food waste in the hospital is enormous as seen in the image, as the canteen is not up to date and would require design improvements. Possible solution for these issues would be the use of power plant to recycle in-house produced waste, also making contracts with some companies to help manage the excessive waste. Also, the use of e-signature would help in the reduction of paper usage, thus reducing the amount of paper waste. It would also help to improve the type of food which is served to patients, thus reducing the food wastage. Moving on to the next problem is the radiation safety. The hospital has minimum to non-radiation safety when it comes to the radiated area and radiation waste. One applicable solution is to place the radiation rooms away from the patients and the individuals. The issue that we have noticed in the hospital is the total separation between the indoor and outdoor area. As seen in the video, there is a long walking distance. The applicable solution is adding a sitting area or linking it by adding landscape or greenery in the outdoor space. This takes us to the focus of the study. After having multiple visits to the sites, we have noticed, as seen in the video, that there's a huge empty space in the roof, and my colleague Mais will represent some of the solutions that we studied.
Our proposed green roof design would include the following. An organic farm, where patients and visitors will be able to plant an organic food in a special space within the accessible green roof. While enjoying the time outside, the vegetables being planted will be used for making patients' lunches at the hospital kitchen. So the organic farm will be a sustainable solution to make a healthy, local and organic food in the hospital, while at the same time solve the issue of patients staying at their room for their entire treatment time. A library. Books are always a good companion, and they are better in the outside. A special closed space will be associated for books reading within the proposed green roof. The space will have large windows to connect the patients inside the library with the surrounding outside roofs. A coffee. A place where visitors, hospital staff, and patients gather outside and socialize while having something to drink and enjoy the blue sky. The coffee will also help provide the hospital an extra profit, where it can benefit from the coffee sales.
Thank you, Mais, for this great tour. Moving along to our surveys and survey analysis. Starting with the stockholders, the first stockholder are the hospital patients, as they are the main individuals who are affected by the hospital and all its outcomes. Next is the hospital staff. These are all the individuals who work in the facility, from doctors to nurses to the management level, from HR to secretaries and etc. Next, we have the Ministry of Health. These are the decision-making organization, as they are the main influencers who can make a change. Lastly are the public users. Those are people like me and you, who has family members as patients or was a patient before, so might have an experience and help support the research. After selecting the stockholders, moving to the survey questions. These surveys were conducted and distributed on the stockholders using the Question Pro survey engine, just to ensure quality and effectiveness of the answers. Starting with the first stockholder, which are the hospital users, the total received answer was around 98 response, which is reasonable when it comes to the number of employees in the hospital. So, moving along with the first question, which is the environmental problems. So as seen in the chart that around 20% has agreed that there is no enough natural ventilation, while the second most answered was the complete separation between inside and outside. Moving to the second question, which are the potential solution for the mentioned issues, we can see that around 20% have agreed with admitting natural ventilation, while around 14% were suggesting the allocating of space for social gathering. Moving to the yes and no question, as seen that 97% has agreed and responded positively with the proposed design and idea, which is around 97 individuals, which gives a small perspective of how well people are responding to the concept and idea. The fourth question, which is related to the benefits of the integration of this solution or idea, whereas illustrated around 16.5% responded that it would enhance the psychological well-being of the patients and individuals, while 14% responded that it would be beneficial to have a place for patients to walk around, especially on an outdoor area. Moving to the fifth question, which includes the challenges that might and will face the design and the idea. As illustrated that around 15% of the 98 has concluded that the weather condition would be the main challenge due to the UAE hot weather. Also, one of the highest points as indicated is the maintenance of the design, where around 15% also agree to the point. Also, in addition to that, around 15% has concluded that the cost also would be a main challenge. The sixth and last question is related to the motivations and enablers that would help and support the application of this concept and idea. The result indicated that 19% agreed that the government approvals would be a challenge. Also, 16% concluded that finding a budget to conduct this idea would be a challenge, while the rest of the answers are as illustrated. As a conclusion, for the first stockholder, it's noticeable that the majority of people are interested and happy with the idea and are encouraging it. Moving to the three remaining stockholders, as to make it easier to be illustrated, we have combined them in one table. Starting with the first question, in the Ministry of Health, 20% has agreed that there is no natural ventilation. The public also had the same response, while the patients had the same response. The public having 17% and the patient having 21% agreeing with this point. Moving to the second question, in the Ministry of Health, 20% has agreed that we need to utilize the daylighting more and admit more natural light. The public has agreed to the utilizing of daylighting. The patients have agreed also to the utilizing of daylighting and the admission of natural ventilation, percentage as are illustrated. Moving to the third question, for the Ministry of Health, 91% has said yes to the idea, with other 8% said no. For the public, 98% has said yes to the idea, with 1.5% had said no to the idea. The patients 100% completely agreed and said yes to the idea. Moving to the fourth question, in the Ministry of Health, around 17% have said that it would enhance the psychological well-being of the individuals, while the public also agreed to the same point. The patients agreed that it's a good place for patients to walk around, with different percentages as illustrated. Moving to the fifth question, in the Ministry of Health, around 17% have said that the main challenge would be available space. In the public, the main challenge would be cost. For the patients, the main challenge also would be cost, with different percentage as also illustrated. Moving to the sixth and last question, in the Ministry of Health, around 22% have said that the government approval and incentives would be a good enabler and motivation. For the public, 15% have also agreed with the same point. For the patients, the allocating a special budget and the utilization of media to spread the idea is the main motivation and enablers from their point of view.
Thank you, Akram, for the nice explanation of the survey analysis. To conclude, the answers of the 4 stakeholders to the survey have assured and strengthened our design solution. As we saw the answers with my colleague Akram, we noticed that no natural ventilation and total separation between interior and exterior spaces were the first 2 options for all 4 stakeholders' point of view. To make it short and simple, green roof design solution will not only enhance the environmental aspects of the hospital, but will enhance the psychological and health well-being of the patient. It will also reduce the energy consumption inside the hospital itself, and at the same time provide the hospital with profit. Thank you for listening.